Austin 316 says I just whipped your... Sit there and call yourself the gorilla, yet you hee-haw out here like a jackass. What? I said shut up. You can kiss my ass.
Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya.
What? And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome back to the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. This week is episode 63, a Stone Cold case. This week, JV and I are going to be covering April through September of 2000, and Austin's going to make his final return of 2000. He had a brief appearance back in April, then he's going to be gone for a while, so we're going to cover that hiatus period from April till September till his return at Unforgiven 2000. Like I said, I'm along with JV. I'm Mike Prue. We're going to get into it. JV, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Doing
right.
well here in the year 2000 of WWE, that's for sure.
Right, we're moving along, mowing through 2000. So,
and it's the most, I think I said it last time, but I got to say it again. The roster's just stacked. The amount of, characters that are being developed between Edge and Christian, and you got Kurt Angle becoming an A-plus player. It's just nuts. I forgot how good of a time this was. And they're going to TNN soon, I think, right?
Yeah, they're going to go to TNN, I think, following...
after this paper.
Right, the night after the pay-per-view, which is what we're going to cover next week. So we're just getting up to the pay-per-view on this episode. And we're going to spend a good amount of time just kind of recapping, like we did 2 weeks ago on episode 62, when we gave a recap of what happened from November through April. We're going to do that here, the first portion of the show, and then we'll cover all the Austin stuff after a quick break, and that'll be what we got in store for you this week, and then next week we'll kind of get back onto a regular schedule with fully loaded Austin episodes, so that'll come back next week with episode 64, where we'll finish up September, go into October, as Austin continues his investigation into who hit him with a car. We're going to get to see the very beginning of that today. We'll talk about the beginning of that search and how all that played out in the months where Austin was missing and led to his return. And he kind of returns before Unforgiven, but not fully. So we'll get into all that. That's all pretty cool, fun shit. So before we get into that, though, I do want to bring up a few things, such as our YouTube channel, the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, and nobody's subscribing to it, so fucking subscribe to it, please. Help us out there. It's a good place to get these podcasts. Just nice and easy way to just click on your YouTube app and hop on an episode there instead of having to go into your iTunes or whatever it is. Just if you're just sitting back at home, put the YouTube app on, check out an episode. So there's that. Check us out there. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Bottom Line Cast also. Me, Mike Prue, I'm at MPRU83. JV is at John Van Damage. And also this week, coming out on the Extreme ECW Live Cast, which is going to be episode 19, we are covering Hardcore TV, ECW Hardcore TV, episodes 40 and 41 from January 18th and January 25th of 1994. And one of those is an extended episode with a great match between Terry Funk and Shane Douglas. So that's available on the Book in the Territory Patreon $5 tier normally every 2 weeks. But this episode that I just talked about will be available right here on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast feed. Okay, it might even be out right now as this one's out. Or we might wait a day. We'll see. But it'll be available this week on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast feed as a little freebie to maybe entice you to sign up for patreon.com for Booking the Territory at the $5 tier. And much like we put one out a few weeks ago for an early episode that we did for November of 93. So there'll be another one coming out this week also. So stay tuned for that. And good episode last week we had for you guys where we picked a couple of matches. Well, we picked a few matches. You guys voted on it, and you picked the triangle ladder and the TLC matches. That was a nice little change of pace for us to talk about something different, watch something a little different than we usually get to watch here on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. So that was fun. And we'll have another poll coming up not too long from now, actually, and it's going to be our 316-day poll, which is a watch-along that will come out on March 16th. So that'll be kind of like a bonus episode. So we'll do our regular episode, but you'll also get that episode on March 16th regardless. I think it's actually like on a weekend. So you'll have an episode on Wednesday, and then you'll get one on the 16th. All right, so without further ado, JV, you want to get into this Attitude Era recap from May through September?
Let's dive right in, bro.
All right, so here we go. We are now in May of 2000. Okay, we're going to start off with the championship scene here. So Triple H has stated that he wants to take on The Rock in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And Shawn Michaels is going to be involved as a special guest referee. And this is all going to go down at Judgment Day. So, kind of give a recap of what happens at the end of the match. What goes on here is The Rock is going to hit a people's elbow on Triple H to make the score 5-5. So, a bunch of falls in this match. So, it's already 10 at that point. So, 5-5. Okay, Road Dogg and X-Pac are going to interfere as they're part of DX at this point. And The Undertaker has come back. He came back during the previous month's pay-per-view, the one from April, the one where Austin returned. Undertaker also returned there as the American Badass, rolling in on his Harley.
Ugh.
Well, you didn't like it?
No. And I'm not a fan of American Badass Taker.
I thought you might. You had talked I don't know, not about months, but maybe weeks back. You said, "Oh no, I think I might give the American Badass
I
bigger
tried.
chance."
I was like, he's got like red hair and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe if we see more.
I didn't watch all of it like you did, like to that extent. So,
Right.
I don't know. I guess I didn't give it like an honest chance. But what I saw, I was just like, all right, seen enough. Put the bike away.
No, because it's still what you remembered. You haven't really dove into any stories with him yet.
Yeah.
But there'll be some stories with him in Austin for sure.
I did see him do a last ride, and I really appreciated that. I was like, yeah, that's a lot cooler than the Tombstone.
Oh, it is. I agree, especially with this gimmick that he has at that point. But yeah, I think it will grow on you like you thought, but you're just gonna need some time, I think. But it is. I like this because it is a good. Again, it's like a change of pace. We were used to one Undertaker for so long, and I'm willing to accept it now. At the time, I wasn't, because at the time it's like, fuck, this change sucks. But 20 years later, it's like, okay, I know it changes, and now I'm ready for the change, and I can accept that change watching it now. If you get what I'm saying there.
No, I totally understand. But as he's obviously going to be like this for a while, so
yeah, good couple of years, a few years.
We'll see how it grows on me.
Yeah,
stay tuned.
All right. So Undertaker's going to attack Triple H with the choke slam and a pile driver. And that is right as the time limit expires. So, excellent match. This was considered to be the match of the year. And we had it on our poll, but it just lost. It tied for second place. And then in the tiebreaker poll, it lost. So, hell of a match there. Worth going back. The clock expires as Undertaker nails Triple H with the tombstone, and The Rock gets disqualified on that last fall. So Triple H ends up winning the match 6-5 because of that, and he becomes the WWF champion. So The Rock had just won it a month ago. Here we are a month later. Triple H gets it back. So great match there. Definitely worth going back to check out. Also going on in May, in the IC title picture, you have the ongoing feud between Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. And at Backlash in April, Chris Benoit had retained the title by DQ when Jericho hit Benoit with the belt as Benoit was doing a flying headbutt. But so
Which title was that?
That was the IC title.
IC title, okay.
And there was some time earlier back around WrestleMania that it was the European and the IC title that Jericho was holding, and he lost both of them.
Yep.
And
that's when he was like feud with China still, or no? Well, after his post feud with China, correct?
Yeah, right. So now he's going back and forth with Benoit with the IC title. So on SmackDown for May 4th, Jericho wins the title after hitting Benoit with the belt, while Earl Hebner was knocked out. And Chris Jericho is forced to defend the title the following week because he insults Stephanie McMahon. So he's calling Stephanie McMahon a slut and whatever, whatever. What was it? What was the phrase? It was like a
2-bit whore. I forget.
Yeah, it's like
I know it as he's saying it. It's like
right.
You remember it. It's like programmed in our fucking heads.
So, anyways, he's been doing that for a while, and they're getting sick of it. Triple H is sick of it. So, they force him to defend the title. Jericho's actually going to retain the title against Kurt Angle and Big Show. But Jericho is going to end up losing the title the following week to Benoit when Triple H comes in and hits Jericho from behind while making Benoit tap. So, he's actually making Benoit tap, but Triple H runs in and knocks him out. And then Benoit gets the crippled crossface on him. And Triple H calls for the bell, despite Jericho not submitting. And Triple H has the power to do that because he's part majority owner. And he's just making his own calls at this point. So that's going to lead to there being a submission match at Judgment Day between Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. I like how they're working in the Triple H feud with Jericho, too, in all this. It's like pumping up Jericho a little bit more by having Triple H involved. And it even elevates Benoit, too. Having
just
Triple
by
H involved in this and helping him out.
Yeah. By association, they just kind of... It's a rub, you know?
Right. So during that submission match at Judgment Day, Benoit retains when Jericho passes out the crippled crossface. So it's that, that big babyface moment where he never tapped out. He never tapped out. Oh, my God. He lost, but he didn't really lose. One of those deals. And then also the other big thing going on in May is the DX feud with the Dudley Boys. And the Dudley Boys had actually been part of McMahon and Helmsley faction that was going on. But they ended up turning babyface at this point. And Bubba Ray Dudley had started powerbombing many of the female wrestlers through tables.
Oh, I remember this.
And he's supposed to be a babyface, but the fans love it. The fans love all the women getting crashed through the table. So Bubba Ray starts to get into like this trance mode whenever he wants to put somebody through the table. Like he's in psycho mode. So he's just been going after all the women, and he wants to do it to Tori so badly. Tori's part of DX now. And it's X-Pac's girlfriend. Even though I remember months back, like October 99, November 99, X-Pac calls Tori a slut. Right on WWF programming. And then they said, all right, I guess, some girls like being called that. So now they want to be his boyfriend. They want to be his girlfriend.
And it's true. It's true.
Oh, he must like me if he thinks of me like that. I want to be with him.
Yeah, right.
You don't call an ugly girl a slut, right?
I don't think men do.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I think women would call
them. Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, they do.
It's like the reverse.
Right. So anyway, they have this feud going on, and there's gonna be a big tables match set for Judgment Day between X-Pac and Road Dogg and the Dudleys, and the Dudleys win there. So cool little match there. We're having all these different tables matches, ladder matches, and they're kind of just building to that TLC match at this point. There was the ladder match. Now you have the Dudleys involved in a tables match. You'll have Edge and Christian involved in chair matches. and then they just combine. We talked about that last week, but you can see it happening here in May of 2000. All right, so let's bounce out of May and move on to June of 2000. And a few cool things happened in June of 2000, like Kurt Angle winning the King of the Ring. King of the Ring tournament was in Boston, Massachusetts. And, you look at the bracket, it's not that great of a King of the Ring. The finals, Kurt Angle versus Rikishi, who they're trying to give a push, understandable. But at that point, for me as a fan watching in 2000, Rikishi's not getting over to me, no matter what. Like, find his dancing and shit, that's funny. It's cool. I actually think Scotty 2 Hotty is the funniest one in that group.
Agreed. I was never a fan of Rikishi.
No.
I honestly thought it was nasty.
Right. Yeah, see his freaking cellulite ass. So, yeah, and he wasn't even funny. He tries to be like a badass a lot of times, too. At least, like, Scotty 2 Hotty just goes, like, full goof mode.
Yeah, he embraces it.
Right. Like, whenever that music hits, like, in all these shows that I've been watching lately, when his music hits, and he just comes bouncing out on one foot,
Yeah.
like, it just makes me happy. It's like, that guy's the man. So, yeah.
He gets it. He gets it.
So, with Rikishi, though, like, I've gone through, like, being a fan throughout the 90s as a kid. Like, I've seen him, all the different versions of who he, Fatu, the head shrinker, Fatu, the inspirational street guy.
Wasn't he Quang?
No, that was Savio.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But he was the Sultan, though. That's probably
Sultan. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes, that is what I'm thinking of.
So he's the Sultan. He's Fatu, the head shrinker. Then he's Fatu, make a difference, or whatever the fuck it was. And then I was just this, and like, all right. I'm not buying him as a top guy because he's never been a top guy. This is like his fourth reiteration. So they're trying. And I think they're trying probably because of the Samoan background. That history that they have in the WWF of just trying their best to make them happy. And it continues to this day.
Yep.
I mean, how many times the Usos got to do something wrong before they get canned?
Yeah, I know, right? You can't. That's wrestling blood.
Yeah, they're never going to get fired. So anyway, this King of the Ring, Kurt Angle, wins, and this is going to be the beginning of his real push to being a main event guy. And they already sensed that right from the beginning that, all right, this is going to be the guy. So that's why he so quickly wins King of the Ring just after coming in November.
Yeah, and you can tell.
Right. He's totally
you
ready
just see it in him. Like, you see him do the angle press, right?
Yep.
The angle plex, I mean. And that thing's just that's a suplex of beauty.
Everything is so good.
Yeah.
All right, so he wins that. You got the WWF Championship scene. The Rock is going to win the title back. So it goes. It's like ping pong with the title. The Rock had it in April. Triple H has it in May. The Rock gets it back in June. So The Rock wins the WWF Championship at King of the Ring in a 6-man tag team match. It was The Rock, Undertaker, and Kane versus Triple H, Shane, and Vince McMahon. So it's a 6-man tag match, but the WWF title is involved in it. And the stipulation was whoever got the pinfall on The Rock's team becomes the champion. So Vince was trying to create like some dissension amongst the team for Rock, Undertaker, and Kane.
Yep.
That's
so wise.
Whoever gets the pin, so they'd be like pulling each other off basically. And that's what happened throughout the match is Kane is pulling Undertaker off. Either Shane or Triple H, and Undertaker's doing the same, and causing all those issues within the team. So what ends up happening anyway is that The Rock is going to get the pinfall and become the champion after he pins Vince. And there's also one crazy spot that I had to take note of when I was watching this match is that Shane takes a crazy ass chokeslam off the top rope to the announce booth by the Undertaker.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so this guy is just doing crazy spots every single time he's in a match.
It's like, dude, you don't need to. At this point, you're inheriting billions, or like $1 billion, so
Right.
if it's or close to it.
But that's basically already at this point has become his gimmick that he needs to do these big spots because that's his thing now, and he does it here. Another
I mean, he is one of the best at it too. It's
He
not like
is.
it's like you could argue he might be the best at it.
right, he's put himself in that position that he's been doing it for so
It's
long.
not as like smooth as the Hardys.
Right, yeah, but that's what gives it more shock value too. It's like,
Yeah,
holy shit,
yeah,
he's not supposed to be able to do this, or he's just a regular guy, and he looks like that because he just has a fucking swooshies on and
yeah.
a jersey, and he has his like $50 haircut. And then he's like diving off this shit. So that was a crazy spot there. That's worth going back to check out King of the Ring for. Another thing that's pretty funny to go back and watch King of the Ring in June of 2000 is the Stooges are back, and they're back at it with each other now. So they're fighting over the hardcore title. This is at the point where the hardcore title has become 24/7, and everybody is going after each other to get the title. So Gerald Briscoe is the champion, and Pat Patterson has an hardcore evening gown match with him. And what ends up ultimately happening is that Crash Holly runs in and he wins the hardcore title from Pat Patterson. So Pat Patterson gets it off Briscoe, and then immediately Crash gets it off Pat Patterson. So we're at that crazy time with the hardcore title, which looking back at it, I don't mind it now, especially with how the 24/7 title recently has worked. I started to think that was one of the more enjoyable things going on, which I guess is pretty sad when that's one of the best angles going on.
It really is.
But I guess R-Truth being a major part of that is what makes it
Yep.
kind of cool, because how can you hate R-Truth?
You can't hate R-Truth.
No.
He's the man. He's funny. Brock Lesnar even commented on, apparently,
Oh, really?
supposedly, that he liked working with R-Truth.
R-Truth
funny.
has been around for so long too.
Yeah, he's
He's
in
been around
great
since
shape
like
too. Dude
2000.
doesn't age.
No, he's gonna come up here later in 2000 or 2001, and he looks exactly the same, just short hair. All right, another thing going on is that DX and Dudley Boy's feud continues on. So they had the table match back in May, but now they're going to add, it's going to be a table and dumpster match. Bubba Ray is going to powerbomb Road Dogg through two stacked up tables. Crazy spot. But Tori is going to pull off an interesting spot here. Tori, who Bubba Ray, I said earlier, is obsessed with, Tori gets into the dumpster, and the Dudleys are all like excited, like, now we got her. Like, they thought they were chasing her, and she ended up like getting stuck in the dumpster. So they think they got her where they want her. But she's being pretty smart here, because behind the Dudleys is Road Dogg and X-Pac, and they have chairs, and they whack the Dudleys from behind, and they fall into the dumpster. So Road Dogg and X-Pac win the match because the Dudleys fell in. So Tori using some strategy there. That's shit that good managers would have done back in the day. So good spot there. And of course, after the match, Bubba Ray's gonna slam Tori through the table.
That's the punchline.
Yeah. And then we move on now to July, and in July of 2000, Lita has joined the Hardy Boys at this point. So Trish has been fucking with the Hardy Boys for a while with Test and Albert, TNA. And Lita now, breaking off from S.A. Rios, is going to start to help out the Hardy Boys and fight back at Trish. So now we get like this 6-man or six mixed tag match type style thing going on here. Trish versus Lita and the Hardys versus TNA. So, a few things that happen there is that Trish tosses Lita off a ladder and through a table on an episode of SmackDown. And then that leads to a 6-man tag team match at Fully Loaded in July. And Lita's going to hit a badass moonsault for the win on Trish. But then Lita gets whipped by Trish after the the match with the belt. And, I mean, can't say anything more about Trish than we have already said. Amazing. But the one thing with Lita, and this brought me back to the year 2000, that I don't care if a thong looks trashy. Lita's
neither do
thong
I.
is fucking hot.
Yes, it is. It's not trashy.
No. So girls may say, "Oh, that's trashy," but no, that's hot. And I think I even said this
We'll
last
tell
week.
you. We'll
Yeah,
tell them what's trashy. Let us do that.
right. And I think I did talk about this last week during the watch along. I had to have because she was in the match, so I would have brought it up because I always think of her thong.
And I wouldn't have remembered anyway.
The only time seeing the thong being nasty is when you're like nasty fat chick.
Yeah, chick ain't hot.
Right. Or she has like a pale fucking back and a roll coming up over her jeans, and then you see it. It's like, oh no, I don't want to see that. Yeah. So that's the only time. But when it's a hot chick with a nice body and you see her, yeah, that just leaves to the imagination. Like,
Yeah, it does. It only makes it that much hotter.
right, just pull the pants down a little bit, a little bit more. All right, so Lita joined the Hardy Boys, and that's all going to be awesome from there for a while. All right, now another thing that's changed at this point in July is that Mick Foley is back, and he's now the commish. And Edge and Christian are trying to weasel out of their tag team title match. And the exchanges that Mick Foley has with Edge and Christian during his time is pretty hilarious. Christian is pretending to be sick, and then Foley catches Christian fake puking, and he's like in the stall. It's just great. So, and I think most of that happens actually on Fully Loaded. So go back and check out Fully Loaded for the exchange between Edge and Christian and Mick Foley, because he's gonna set them up to have a match. He's gonna have them defend their titles against the APA, but Edge and Christian will retain by DQ anyway. Kurt Angle, he's starting to warm up here. King of the Ring in June. Now, the very next month, he's in a feud with The Undertaker, who's recently back, and Kurt Angle's mocking The Undertaker by driving to the ring with a scooter and a helmet on.
That's funny.
He has like Stars and Stripes helmet on, and it's just, oh man, his comedic timing and the things he does just so classic. And we're gonna see more of it later in the episode when we talk about Austin, but man, he just
Natural.
Yeah, it just comes off natural too. You're right. So anyway, of course, doing that is gonna piss off the Undertaker, and Kurt says he's not scared of a man that rides a bicycle. I'm not scared of a man that rides a bicycle.
You know, Kurt Angle's like a character from The Office.
Yeah, he reminds me of Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's exactly like Andy from The Office. So Angle pours a bunch of shit. It's like, I don't know, it kind of looks like oatmeal. He pours like hot oatmeal over Undertaker's bike, and that pisses him off. And that Fully Loaded Undertaker is starting to chase Kurt Angle all throughout like the backstage area. And Kurt Angle's it's just hilarious. He's just running through backstage. Undertaker's on his bike chasing him, and this goes on for a while backstage. But at one point, Angle is gonna whack Undertaker with a wrench backstage, and then they have their match, and Undertaker kind of buries him. But hey, that's to be expected. It's the story. Kurt Angle's messing with the wrong dude, and the Undertaker's gonna kick his ass. Pretty good shit there. The IC title picture, you now have Val Venus as the champion. So they've broken away from Chris Benoit and Jericho, because they've actually kind of stepped up more to the main event picture at this point. So Val Venus is the champ. And the changes that I talked about with Val Venus that they should make a while ago, they actually did.
The right to censor?
No, before the right to censor. So they do one last attempt to push him. So they pushed him back in like September, October of 99, when he still had long hair and the purple tights. He was having good matches with Austin and Triple H, I think. But he had a few good matches back then. And I said, oh, maybe they should have, like, at this point, cut his hair and gave him, like, black trunks, plain, like, something simple. So anyway, they decide to do that at this point in July. And he just looks so plain and shitty. So I can see now why maybe it wouldn't have been a good idea. So I guess I was wrong about that, about changing his look, because this look made him look like even more shit. So they're trying to, like, do away from, like, the sleazy look, but now it's just boring. And there's even one time, I think it's the next pay-per-view, where he's wearing all white. He's wearing white trunks and white boots. And at this pay-per-view, he's wearing black boots, black trunk, short hair. So, and he doesn't, I don't even think he has, yeah, he does have music, but the music sucks. And that's like Val Venus is his music, coming out to that music. But they were just breaking away from it, and it wasn't really going to work. So at this fully loaded pay-per-view in July, Val Venus is defending the title against Rikishi, and it's in a steel cage, which kind of baffles me. That's a steel cage match, Rikishi versus Val Venus. So anyways, that was in a cage.
Yeah, not two guys you really want to
watch a
definitely
cage
don't want
match.
to see him in a cage match. Like, I don't know.
So anyway, what happens is Taz comes in and interferes, and that allows for Val Venus to get the win against Rikishi. And then on to kind of the main scene, not for the title, but two big guys here, Triple H and Chris Jericho. Their feud has been on the rise because of Chris Jericho talking shit about Stephanie all the time. And Chris Jericho actually kisses Stephanie at King of the Ring. So Triple H wants a match with Jericho. And he says, you know, Jericho cost Triple H a title shot at Fully Loaded against The Rock. Jericho caused Triple H to be stink-faced by Rikishi. So that added insult to injury. So Jericho's doing all these things to fuck with Triple H. So he cost him his title shot. He causes him to get stink-faced. He actually also causes him to lose to the Brooklyn Brawler. So fucking Triple H is taking losses to the Brooklyn Brawler.
Does he? That's great.
All because of Jericho. Just more great Jericho shit. Like, who else would Triple H be able to feud with that is going to get him to lose to Brooklyn Brawler? Nobody.
Yeah.
So Jericho gets beat down by DX with a sledgehammer leading up to their match. So Jericho's going to demand the last man standing match. Triple H wins in a brutal match. They're both being counted. Okay, in the last man standing, they count until somebody's up. So Triple H ends up getting up at 9. Jericho doesn't make it up after he gets smashed through the table. So Triple H just barely wins, survives the last man standing match. But good match nonetheless, worth checking out. That was also on our poll too, but that was dead last. And not even close to being But it was a good match.
Did he get any votes?
Yeah, I got a vote. I didn't do the math to figure out how many actual votes, but it was probably like 4 or something. Actually, no, it had to be more. It was 164 votes, and I think it had like 13%. So, yeah, maybe like 15 or 16 votes or something.
Yeah, like 17.
Yeah. All right, so the next thing going on here is that you have The Rock as the champion. Fucking ping pong. Rock, Triple H, Rock. Here we go. So Chris Benoit is going to get a title shot. So Chris Benoit attacks The Rock on Raw. Shane McMahon is supporting Chris Benoit at this point. And Chris Benoit has also been attacking everybody backstage, in the ring, leading up to Fully Loaded. So he's been just relentless in his attacks. And The Rock's actually going to fight back and attack Benoit. He rock bottoms him through a car, onto his car. And Mick Foley's going to make the match. And he's going to make a stipulation that the title can change on DQ, which I always love. The title should change on a DQ. I don't know how often, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they'll...
It's tough because they can get screwed.
Right, because then it just changes.
But hey, that's the point of it, though. It opens up storytelling.
Right. So in this case, that works there. Or even in some cases, it should be, if you get counted out, you lose the title. Like, why should you just be able to run away and not lose your title. Hey, that's one that's always irked me, kinda, is you can just run away and you keep your title. But it does help build like the chicken shit heel and
Yep.
yeah. So
like from both perspectives, it can build story,
right,
character, etc.
Yep. All right, so at Fully Loaded, they're gonna have this match. Earl Hebner actually calls for a DQ on The Rock. After Earl was hit with a chair by Shane. So this is, I don't know. Earl Hebner's always doing something stupid. But anyway, Earl saw that The Rock was hit with a chair and just assumed that The Rock caused it. So Benoit is announced the new champion. So basically, just to kind of restate that Chris Benoit looks down. It looks like he got hit by the chair. So Earl Hebner is going to disqualify The Rock. So Chris Benoit is announced the new WWF champion. But Foley's going to come out right away and straighten this out. Mick says there's no DQ. So the match continued. The Rock's going to win. And that was actually a really good match, too. Except for the little trick ending there with Chris Benoit being the champion. But I like that. It's just kind of like when Chris Jericho won it. Where it's like you think you won it, but he didn't really.
He didn't really, yep.
But like we said, to kind of see what the crowd gauges, crowd reaction.
Yeah. Like how far can we push this guy? How much more do we want to invest in this guy in prime spots?
Yep.
You know, they really get a lot of, I would imagine, they get a lot of information, and that's how they look at it. Or maybe they don't.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the story, because with Chris Benoit, when he gets it, well, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to boo him because he took The Rock's title, and he's the heel. So maybe they're getting information that, he's a great heel. They're booing the shit out of him. That's a good thing. So yeah, they can get different information from what they decide to do. I'm sure that's what they're doing all the time. Test the reactions. Yep. All right, so that brings us now to August of 2000. So we're getting closer to the return of our man, Stone Cold.
Closer and closer. We could smell it from here in August.
But in August, we have the debut of the Right to Censor. Bull Buchanan, the Godfather, now known as the Good Father. Stevie Richards, now known as Steven Richards. And this entrance music is the worst. It's like, warning.
Yeah, it's awful.
Warning. So while I was watching this, I was watching SummerSlam 2000. And I think they're in the opening match. Yeah, they're in the opening match. And I just have it on, and the volume's normal. My wife's upstairs, which is just up the staircase from the living room. So she can kind of hear what's going on. She hears that. She yells down, like, what the hell's that shit? Like, it was just so annoying, like, off the bat to her that she had to, like, yell down the stairs. What is that? That's so annoying. And I was like, yep, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be annoying. The music makes you hate them. Even if you like them, well, the music's going to make you not like them.
Yeah, that's instant heat.
Right. Like, shut this fucking shit off. Fuck these guys.
Make your ears bleed.
So, good music choice on their part, even though it makes you want to shut the TV off. Yeah, that could have been a problem. Maybe, like, change the channel. Like, fuck these guys changing the channel. I don't want to hear this. Maybe I'll come back in 4 minutes when the match is going on. Or probably over at that point. All right, so I just wanted to point out that infamous faction has been established at this point in August of 2000. On the IC title scene, Chyna's back in the picture, and Chyna wins the IC title after pinning Trish Stratus. That is now when you know the IC title has gone to shit. Is that you had Chyna defeated Trish in a mixed tag team match. So it was Chyna and Eddie versus Val and Trish. And Chyna gets the pin on Trish to become the IC champion. So that kind of sucks. But the great thing going on at this point is Eddie and Chyna. And Eddie's always calling Chyna Mamacita, hey. And he's like trying to do his best to impress her. And he basically like lets her win the title here, or that's what he says later. And he goes through like he loses his control, and then he has to apologize later to China. Like, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It's fucking great shit with
It's a
Eddie
very
Guerrero.
toxic relationship they have.
It is. But it's so awesome how Eddie shows his range.
Oh, yeah. The highs and lows.
Right. And I think we even talked about that 2 weeks ago, too, is that he's just able to adapt and get himself over when otherwise he probably wouldn't if he didn't try hard. If he didn't put in full effort in this China angle. He's a team player.
Yeah, this could have been Double J.
Right. All right, so the next thing is something that you had told me just before we started doing the show today. Something that you thought sucked. That's Taz and Jerry Lawler feud. So Taz is terrorizing JR week after week, and Lawler's going to finally stand up for good old JR, and they're going to have a match at SummerSlam. So Taz is going to no-sell a Lawler pile driver, which I couldn't believe. Like, come on. It's fucking Jerry Lawler's pile driver, and you no-sell it. But Taz is going to actually choke out Jerry Lawler, but then JR comes in and smashes him on the head with a candy jar. Then Lawler gets the win. And the candy jar is hilarious because they made a point to show a fucking candy jar on the announce booth earlier in the show. And it just stood out like a sore thumb because when the fuck is there ever a candy jar on the announce table? Just like full front present.
Who's eating mints all of a sudden?
Right. So it comes into play later. It's like the Chekhov gun theory. If you introduce something early, it's got to be used later on in the plot. So here it is. The candy jar gets used. Lawler gets the win. And Taz gets the loss. Who just made a hot debut months before. And now they get him wearing black pants and a fucking shitty button down. Like no sleeve button down. And it's not because he was out of shape. So I don't buy that. Because he was in shape still at that point.
Yeah, I don't buy that either.
But it's just a shitty outfit. It makes him look less intimidating, I think, than being what he was a suplex machine. So he was like an amateur wrestler.
Yep.
But I guess maybe they didn't want that to contend with Kurt Angle.
I think you're onto something there. I didn't think of that, but that makes a lot of sense because I think at this point it's clear that Kurt Angle's a star, yeah,
right,
and they look at him as that.
Even though he was already an Olympic, gold-winning Olympic wrestler, they didn't know how he was going to translate to being a WWF superstar.
Right.
Whereas they knew Taz is already a big name in wrestling, but Kurt Angle just took that right from Taz, basically. Like, nah, I can be bigger than you two. And yeah, that's probably what they noticed and just changed the look of Taz because of it. Although I'm sure he still did suplexes and shit, but just the whole look of being the wrestler, amateur wrestler, they did away with. So yeah, could be onto something there. Just a thought off the top of my head. But anyway, speaking of Kurt Angle is continuing on now with a feud with Triple H, and this all has to do with Stephanie, just like with Jericho had his little angle with Triple H. It all had to do with kissing Stephanie. So Kurt Angle kisses Stephanie on an episode of SmackDown. She's been trying to avoid him, and this leads. You got like a three-way thing going on here. Triple H has a feud with The Rock, but Kurt Angle also has this feud going on with Triple H because of Stephanie. So they have a triple threat match, and The Rock's going to retain the championship at SummerSlam. So that's kind of the gist of what's going on there with the world title. But there's a hell of a match at SummerSlam, and it's Chris Jericho and Benoit. 2 out of 3 falls match. Fucking awesome. Jericho has a great promo about fighting Benoit. It's kind of like a children's book. He says, I will fight Chris Benoit on a boat, or I will fight Chris Benoit with a goat. I will take on Benoit while he's taking a quiz, or as the total jackass that he is. He's doing like fucking Dr. Seuss rhymes about Chris Benoit. man, so that's Jericho for you. But they have a great match at SummerSlam. And then obviously another great match at SummerSlam was the TLC match that we covered last week, where Edge and Christian retained the tag team championships. Kane and Undertaker are having their feud now, and this all kind of started off with that match, with that 6-man tag match where whoever got the pin would be the new champion. So Kane and Undertaker started to build a little feud there, but Kane is also messing with the Undertaker's bike. So now that you have the Undertaker with a bike, that bike can be used in so many different stories now. So you had Kurt Angle coming riding down on a little scooter on a helmet, pouring oatmeal or whatever the fuck it was on it. Now you have Kane of all people. He takes Undertaker's bike and he drives off with it. And so basically they have their match, and Undertaker rips Kane's mask off during the match, and Kane just covers his face and runs away. So you can even hear Undertaker on the audio of SummerSlam say, "I'm gonna rip his fucking mask off," right into like the camera. Basically, they didn't change shit about it. All right, so yeah, so that's kind of the gist of that. I kind of covered the Rock wins at SummerSlam. But that's definitely worth going back to, checking out, because it's a hell of a match. Kurt Angle actually gets taken out early in that match at SummerSlam, the triple threat match, and then he comes back later. So for a while, it's The Rock versus Triple H, with Kurt Angle in the back, and Stephanie goes back to try to get Kurt Angle to come back and help Triple H, and you just kind of get a back and forth thing there. So fun match to watch, good shit going on there. You can see that Kurt Angle already is a star, fitting right into the main event there at SummerSlam. All right, so now we move on to September, and we're getting closer and closer. And Val Venus has joined the Right to Censor now. So they're basically a stable of former fuckheads that are now being all prim and proper. So you have the pimp, you have the porn guy, you have Stevie Richards, who is just pretending to be everybody else.
An idiot.
Yeah.
He's like the town idiot.
And I guess you have nothing wrong. I guess there's nothing bad to say about Bull Buchanan, but
yeah, there really isn't.
But they just had nothing to do with him, so stick him in there. But anyways, Val Venus now in the Right to Censor. He's dressed like a freaking milkman. He's wearing white pants, white shirt. Everybody else has the black pants and a white shirt, but he's got fucking white pants on, so he looks like he's the milkman. So I wonder. And I think he actually even maybe Jerry Lawler says like, "Oh, he's just like a milkman." And I was like, "Oh shit, he does." And then I thought maybe that's an inside joke. Like Val Venus, former porn star, he's the milkman.
Oh yeah.
He's delivering all the loads of milk to all the housewives still. They could have went with that gimmick.
They should have went with that.
No, you could have had Beaver Cleavage and the Milkman as a tag team. 1950s tag team. So anyway, that was going on there. Jerry Lawler and Taz continued their feud up to Unforgiven. Lawler was about to defeat Taz at Unforgiven in the strap match. Weird strap match. In a strap match where you could be pinned. Usually in a strap match would be, go to the four corners or...
Yeah.
But in this one, it's
never really like a pin or like a submission match.
Right. So in this case, you can do that, hit the four corners, or you can pin or cause submission. So Lawler's about to win, but then Raven makes his debut. Raven makes his WWF debut here in September and hits the even flow, or what they're now calling the Raven effect, on Jerry Lawler, which is the DDT. And this allowed for Taz to choke out Lawler. And Lawler taps out. Taz gets the win. And now Raven's on the scene. Okay, we don't know if it's going to go into like an ECW direction. Former ECW guys helping each other out. But we'll pay attention to what happens with Raven. And from what I remember, it's nothing great that happens with Raven. So we'll see. And Also at Unforgiven, you have Chris Jericho have a solid match with X-Pac as they usually do, as they have been ever since the WCW days. So nice little match there. Jericho wins with the Walls of Jericho, and then X-Pac will attack Chris Jericho with some nunchucks. So that's been X-Pac's gimmick lately, is that he's attacking Jericho with different weapons. He's now this master of martial arts.
Which is always weird.
Yeah. Well, he always does like that karate stance shit.
Yeah.
He does his little spin kick in the air.
But the karate gimmick just never really gets over in wrestling.
No.
The martial arts.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on to the tag team titles. Edge and Christian continue to work with the Hardy Boys in September. Edge and Christian have revealed some footage of the Hardys feuding in 1990. So it was Matt versus Jeff, but Edge and Christian got a hold of the footage, and it's hilarious. It's funny to look back. It's Matt as a 15-year-old, and then Jeff was like a 13-year-old. And Matt looks so much older as a 15-year-old than Jeff does as a 13-year-old.
Yeah, he does.
Like Jeff still looks like a little boy, has like a little boy chest. Matt actually looks like he's gone through puberty. So it's just funny to see them at that point, so close in age, but still so different, aging wise. Jeff Hardy is already wearing the face paint at this point. He's got the Ultimate Warrior face paint on, and they both cut a promo, and then they do their little in-ring action. So that's cool just to see like how far back they've been doing it. That they love the business. So anyway, they have a match at Unforgiven in a steel cage. The Hardy Boys win the tag team titles by escaping the cage. Now, I thought it was a cool match, cool concept too, that both members of the team have to leave the cage in order for the team to win. So like Jeff Hardy, for instance, got out pretty early, and then it basically became 2-on-1 inside, and Matt had to get out in order for them to win. So it's obviously going to be tough for the second person to get out, because now he has two people to go up against. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool setup, and told a good story. So another awesome match between Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys. So check it out for sure. On the IC title scene, Eddie Guerrero starts a feud with Rikishi. China claims that Eddie used her to get the IC title, so at this point, Eddie Guerrero is now the IC champion. Eddie Guerrero flips out on China, then apologizes.
Yeah, they're in a domestic dispute.
Oh, yeah. Crazy. Eddie's trying to be nice and says she looks so good and she should be in the pictures. Then China reveals that she's going to be in Playboy, so he flips out again. What do you mean? He's trying to be nice, and he says that. Then she hits him with that. Oh, I'm in Playboy, and then he loses his mind. So much that he's going to go to the Playboy mansion, and he wants to talk to Hef. So he gets to the door. They basically kick him out. And Eddie apologizes to China again. China's sick of Eddie's lies and his temper. So Eddie asks China to marry him, and she agrees. So Eddie's going to defend the IC title at Unforgiven with China by his side. China saves Eddie from a bonsai drop during the match against Rikishi. Rikishi actually beats the shit out of China. So Rikishi gets disqualified for attacking China, which was weird to me, because since when do you get DQ'd for hitting a manager? Like, if the manager hits Rikishi, then Eddie should have been disqualified. But China got in the ring, and Rikishi just beat the shit out of her. So they usually don't cause a DQ when the other person is not harmed. So anyway, what they're doing here is making Rikishi look like an asshole, because the crowd is starting to be behind China and Eddie. And Rikishi is about to become a heel, which we're not totally in the know of that yet, but since we are looking back with our eyes from the future, we know that Rikishi is about to be a heel. So they make him look like a big asshole here, because they want the crowd to get ready for him becoming this heel. Hitting fucking Austin with a car. Alright, so that's what's going on with the IC title. Kurt Angle and Triple H continue their feud. It's been going on since just before SummerSlam. And Triple H has become very jealous and untrusting of Stephanie at this point. And Kurt has a no DQ match with Mick Foley as the special guest referee. And Kurt Angle actually sings happy birthday to Stephanie on her 21st birthday at Unforgiven. It's crazy that she's 24 years old at this point. Only fucking 24. You know, and you
She
just
looks young too. She's still
She
got like the
does.
baby face and stuff.
But at the time, you don't think of her. Oh, I thought of her as being a lot older.
Yeah, I thought late 20s.
Yeah, but she was only
24 is still like a baby.
right. Yeah, especially looking back, like 24 was so long ago at this point already
Yep.
for us.
That's my phone. Sorry about that.
Was that ESPN?
Yeah.
So
Some
yeah,
random update.
and then the other ages though I thought was interesting to see is that Kurt Angle and Triple H were both 31. So they're both same age difference from Stephanie. So Stephanie could have had her pick. She could have had Kurt if she wanted. She could have had Triple H. Triple H wins that battle. Triple H actually wins the match, and Stephanie has to make a decision on who to help because they're both there, and Triple H says, "Who are you gonna help?" Basically, so Triple H low blows Stephanie low blows Angle, and then Triple H forcibly kisses Stephanie while he's all busted open after he won the match, and she's not impressed by it. So it seems like shit, things might not be so good between Stephanie and Triple H at this point. In the WWF Championship match, we have Mick Foley set up a fatal four-way at Unforgiven with The Rock, Chris Benoit, Undertaker, and Kane. So throughout this match, they all basically go back and forth with attacks throughout September leading up to this match. And then during this match, The Rock retains the championship after a rock bottom to Chris Benoit. Kane prevented The Undertaker from getting in there and breaking up the 3 count. And that's kind of where we stand at this point. So you have The Rock as the champion, kind of went back and forth with Triple H. Triple H has an ongoing feud with Kurt Angle. The Dudley Boys involved with a feud with DX. Eddie Guerrero is the IC champion. Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, still all involved in the tag team title scene. So a lot of good shit that happened throughout 2000. From what we talked about on episode 62 and what we're talking about here on episode 63, that we had a good year here in 2000, but now we're going to pick up with Austin returning. So we'll get to cover the rest of September, October, November, December in the weeks to come here on the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. So we're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll get into our Austin talk. So take a listen to our boys at Talking Take.
What's up, Rattlesnakes? This is Alex Dorio, one half of the Talking Taker podcast. And even though Stone Cold might say DTA, don't trust anybody, we hope you'll trust us when we say if you love the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, you'll also enjoy what we're doing over on Talking Taker. Each week, my lifelong wrestling buddy and fellow creature of the night, Mr. Travis White, and I explore one pay-per-view match in the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker. We're right in the heart of the Deadman's second coming in the late 2000s, but we've got over 125 episodes, so you can jump in from the beginning or pick and choose from some of your favorite moments, including every single Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin match analyzed in detail, including a great crossover episode with our buddies here at the Bottom Line Cast. You can listen to us wherever podcasts are found, and you can follow along our journey at Talking Taker on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks to Mike and JV for letting us plug the show, and take her easy.
All right, we're back. So let's now get into our Stone Cold Austin coverage, Stone Cold Steve Austin coverage here. And we're going to go back a little bit. So we covered a lot about September just before the break and leading up to Unforgiven, but we left out all the Austin stuff. So that's what we're going to cover here in this portion of the show. So we're going to go all the way back to September 7th, 2002 SmackDown. Austin's going to make his return on the 55th episode of SmackDown from September 7th. In Louisville, Kentucky, saying he wants to find out who hit him with the car. back in November of '99 at Survivor Series. So, and that's what he's back here for. So he's pretty heated about it. So we're gonna take a little listen to a clip here from that episode of SmackDown. This is Austin's special return message. So take a listen. We'll talk about it right after that.
Special message from Stone Cold Steve Austin here tonight on SmackDown. Let's take you to Stone Cold's home in Texas.
I've been out of action for over 9 months, so in case anybody's forgot, my name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Unlike most people, Stone Cold Steve Austin don't forget, and I damn sure don't forgive. So I think it's real special that the next WWF pay-per-view is entitled Unforgiven. What I'm going to do is give the son of a that ran me over, the son of a that tried to end my career, until then, to step forward. And if that yellow makes me wait, then what I'm going to do is roll into Unforgiven and interrogate every WWF superstar on the roster until I find out who did this to me. And when I do, I hope God has some mercy on your soul, because you can say your little prayers 24/7 and it ain't gonna save your ass from Steve Austin, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Wow! King Stone Cold has set a deadline! Stone the Bunch wants to find out who ran him over! This is gonna be great! What do you think it's gonna be, Michael? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, all hell may break.
All right, so as this video package's satellite feed came in, Austin is standing in his living room, just filled with hunting shit.
Yeah.
And it legit looks like it's
out head to toe.
right. It's camouflage everywhere. There's deer heads and all different types of trophies on the wall, and you can tell it's his his actual living room. So,
Yeah, I thought so.
yeah. He's like, fuck that, I'm not going there. You can record me at home. So there he is. He's there. He said, I've been gone for nearly 9 months, and in case anybody's forgot, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. Then the crowd goes nuts. He turns
Looking
around.
lean and mean.
That's what I was going to say. He turns
Great
around.
shape.
He's fucking back in great shape. Last time we saw him on the
He
previous
looks
episode.
younger.
Right, he looks younger again, yeah. Back in April, we said he had his gut, he's coming off of surgery. And just, months later, back in the workout and back on his diet, probably not drinking, I bet at that point. He probably saw himself at the April pay-per-view and said, fuck that shit, I'm not looking like that. And he went on his diet here and looks like Austin from basically 1996, 97.
Yeah,
again.
it's like the ringmaster.
Right. Right, he is like baby-faced again. He's like he went through an aging machine, just got younger.
Yeah. Fountain of youth, he found it.
Yeah.
It was in his Steve Weisers.
Right. I also noticed in the background he has a freaking, like, what looks to be a sweet fucking TV, like a modern day widescreen TV.
Yeah, what's that about?
Back in 2000, like, I don't remember people having that shit, but he made millions, so they were out there for the rich people. But man, yeah, it looks like it's a time warp. It looks like it doesn't belong. It's not supposed to be there. It looks like the fucking TV in my living room today. So anyway, just thought I'd point that out. So Austin says it's fitting that the upcoming pay-per-view is going to be called Unforgiven because he hasn't forgiven. He's not going to be forgiving anybody for hitting him with a car. So Austin says he's going to give a yellow bastard, the son of a bitch, until the pay-per-view to reveal himself. And if he's going to make him wait, then he's going to interrogate every wrestler on the roster at Unforgiven. So if it's not revealed by Unforgiven, at Unforgiven, Austin is going to be going after everybody and questioning everybody. And then he wraps up saying, may God have mercy on your soul. You can pray 24/7, but it ain't going to save your ass from Steve Austin, and that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so. I wish he would have said something like, may God have mercy on your soul, and you can pray 24/7. But Austin 3:16 is not gonna save your ass or whatever, something like that. Like throw in Austin 316 into that, just the way it sounds. May God have mercy on your soul, but Austin 316 won't have mercy on your ass.
Yeah, his own little eulogy.
Right, something like that.
That what it would be, right? A eulogy?
I don't know. Eulogy is like when someone dies, you say something.
But not when you're wanting to kill them.
No. Maybe like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck it would be. I don't want to guess. Like a prologue or something. No, that doesn't make sense either. A threat.
Yeah, that's the word. A threat.
Anyway, so we'll continue on from there. On Raw from September 11, 2000, Commissioner Mick Foley says he's going to conduct an investigation of his own throughout the locker room to determine who hit Austin with the car at Survivor Series. So Foley wants the culprit to come down to the ring right now. And when he stops, The Rock's music hits. Everybody's like, what? Oh my God, The Rock? No way. So The Rock heads out there, Jerry Lawler and JR, Mick Foley, they're shocked. And Rock says, basically, I didn't do it. So cool it. So Rock says he didn't do it. He hopes that Austin kicks some ass when he returns. Then on SmackDown, from September 14th, you have Edge and Christian denying that they had anything to do with the car attack. On Raw, from September 18th, Stephanie says she has nothing to do with it. So few people are coming out right away and saying they had nothing to do with it. But nobody's revealing that they actually did it. So on SmackDown 57 from September 21st, which is just before the pay-per-view, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Mick Foley's investigation is going to continue. And he wants the entire roster to come out to the ring. And he's going to figure it out. Who hit Austin with the car? So The Rock's going to come out. And everybody, it's funny because everybody's already ringside. Then The Rock comes out separate. And that's how they started the show. And obviously they want a large pop when the show starts. So that's why they got everybody else out there. Then had The Rock come out last.
Yeah.
Just to make it sound exciting.
The hype man.
Yeah, exactly. So Mick says he's going to make some predictions of his own and who had the most to gain from this accident. And Jerry Lawler is quick to correct Mick Foley on commentary and say, well, first off, it wasn't an accident. Because it's not a car accident. It's a fucking intentionally hitting somebody with a car. Which means it's not an accident. So Mick's going to call out The Rock. But let's take a listen to what actually went down in this promo between Mick Foley and The Rock. So take a listen.
Now, we are gathered here today to find out just who the hell ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Somebody should step forward now, please.
And because nobody feels like stepping up to the plate and saying, okay, I did it, the commissioner of the World Wrestling Federation has decided to make a couple of predictions.
Predictions?
You see, I thought about just who had the most to gain by running down Stone Cold last November. And hey, I know that my first candidate, this may not be the most popular thing to ever come out of my mouth, but at the time of Stone Cold's accident, there were two really, really big stars in the WWF running neck and neck for popularity.
First of all, it wasn't an accident.
Since Stone Cold went down, one of these superstars saw his t-shirt sales go through the roof.
Uh-oh.
Saw his popularity go through the roof. Saw his ability to electrify crowds go through the roof.
Could it be?
And I hate to say it, but one of those suspects is a former tag team partner of mine. And that, unfortunately, would be you, Rock.
Mick Foley pointing at the Rock King, considering him a prime suspect. He did have a lot to gain. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it was The Rock's rental car, but didn't The Rock just a week ago, King, on Raw, deny having anything to do with it? Everybody's has denied it. Is there one person out here that stepped forward? So in other words, everybody is denying it, along with The Rock. Well, The Rock cannot be pleased.
Out of respect for everything you've done, out of respect for our friendship, I'm going to give you a chance in front of all these people to explain your actions or your inactions last November.
Oh boy, here we go. This is like being put under that hot light. Well, The Rock's on the spot here, King, and you have to believe the Texas Rattlesnake is watching this at home in the Lone Star State. Here we go.
Mick Foley. It seems to The Rock that he's feeling a little, how do you say, deja vu?
That's how you say it.
Because see, The Rock has already answered this time and time again. The Rock has already told you that he didn't do it. The Rock has already told the cops that he didn't do it. The Rock has told Stone Cold Steve Austin himself that he didn't do it.
He said he didn't do it. He's emphatic, King.
Now, Mick Foley, as a best-selling author, it seems like you have a little problem understanding the English language.
Yeah, among other things.
So for your own benefit, let The Rock tell you one more time in plain, simple English. The Rock did not run over Stone Cold.
Adamant about that, King. What about a polygraph test?
Now for further clarification, let The Rock tell you in another language. Let him tell you in Swedish.
What? Swedish?
The Rock didn't run over Stone Cold on the...
What? What's Swedish? You don't understand Swedish? You're not bilingual? I don't think Foley is either, though. If The Rock didn't run over Stone Cold, then who did? Who's going to step
Now,
forward?
Mick, if you need even further clarification, let The Rock tell you in Chinese.
Uh-oh. Chinese?
Ding bong ding dong, he's Stone Cold. Aye!
I think he just ordered some chicken chow mein.
You see, Mick Foley, it doesn't matter what language The Rock tells you in. Because whether it happened then or it didn't happen, regardless of what happened to Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock would still be standing before you today, the WWF champion.
Wow. That's a pretty strong statement. Very strong.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Well, King, The Rock is denied running over Stone Cold Steve Austin, but if The Rock didn't do it, who did?
To tell you the truth, Rock, I never thought you did it anyway.
All right, so Mick Foley tells The Rock to explain himself. The Rock says, this is like deja vu. I already went over this. I've told everybody. I didn't do it. I did not run over Stone Cold. So The Rock goes on to say it in multiple languages. That's the hilarious.
Yeah, this is great.
And this has been replayed, other
Yeah.
times where he does the Swedish, the snorken whatever. And then he does.
I think he gets a pass from any sort of racism. I guess.
I
Prejudice.
think so.
I mean, it's fucking humor.
Right.
Everybody should.
Right, it's comedy. And it's funny when he does the Chinese. You have, I think it's like Funaki. Well, I don't even think it's Chinese. I think he's Japanese, but he looks around like, what? Like pissed off that he's making the face.
I think,
he's
definitely Japanese, though, but I think he's come out with, the Japanese flag.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so he's Japanese, but still. I think when anybody were...
He's like, I can relate.
Yeah. Well, I don't think many Americans that make fun of Chinese and Japanese distinguish much between the sound of...
Nah.
So,
I know when I was a kid, it was the same sounds.
yeah, right. So The Rock says no matter what happened, he would still be here standing as the WWF champion. So it's not like he needed to do anything to Austin. He's going to be the champ no matter what. If you smell what The Rock is cooking. So Mick Foley then calls out Triple H. Triple H has gained the most since Stone Cold has been out of action, and that's true. And even at the time of the attack, you would say that Triple H would want him out. The match was with Triple H, The Rock, and Austin. So why wouldn't Triple H want Austin knocked off and out of that match? So that only made the most sense at the time. So Triple H says, that he didn't do it. He did not run his enemy over, but he would not do that. He would defeat his enemy man to man. One thing I did notice about Triple H as he came out to the ring is that he has a new shirt that says, "I am the game." But if you look closely, it says, "I am the," and then there's a small WWF logo right after it. And then below it says, "Game."
Ah, I didn't catch that. I saw it in your notes and I still didn't catch it.
So it's like, "I am the WWF game." So little thing that means nothing, but they just wanted to put the logo somewhere. But funny looking back now that kind of makes sense. He is the WWF. I know that's like conspiracy theorists, like something that meant nothing, and they go back 20 years later, like, "Oh my God, it was written, it was written there forever." Like, no, it fucking meant nothing. Doesn't mean anything. It's just interesting. Go back and look at. So anyway, Triple H tells Mick that maybe the person that ran over Austin was just a really bad driver. We all know that supposedly women are really bad drivers. But then he switches it up a little bit, and he makes a joke. He says, Triple H says, Triple H goes on to say that Kurt Angle is pretty close to being a woman. So Kurt Angle gets in the ring. Kurt says there needs to be a motive. Kurt says he fought people in the Olympics much tougher than Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he just calls Stone Cold Steve Austin a beer drinking, foul-mouthed, bad example for children. And he has no motive to defeat him. Plus, it was only his first night there. He should have said that. Like, I just had my first match. But he's still getting thrown into the mix here because he's a big star at this point. So Kurt Angle says, "Why is everyone looking at me? Why can't it be S.A. Rios? It's always the quiet one. Maybe Stone Cold stole his green card. I don't know." How much offensive shit is in this promo? You have The Rock doing the voices.
The most offensive shit they could think of. They can get by the censors.
Then you had Triple H say that women were bad drivers. Now Kurt Angle saying that S.A. Rios got his green card stolen. Or is basically there as an illegal. Then Kurt goes on to say that Triple H and DX had to be the people. X-Pac gets in the ring and says he's sick of people pointing the finger, that he knows who it is, someone that was just coming into the WWF at the time. And then X-Pac says Chris Jericho did it. So Jericho gets in there now, defends himself. He says that X-Pac was getting involved in Austin getting trapped. And which is right. X-Pac was part of getting Austin trapped in the garage because they were basically leading the chase for Austin to get them. And then he ended up in that garage, and that's where he got hit. So Jericho's not wrong there. Jericho says the person with the most motive, though, is Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie gets in there, says, "That's unfair. You look at the footage. I was there right away." And Stephanie blames The Undertaker, the man that once abducted me. So everyone's fucking pointing the finger.
Everyone's, yeah. It's like, what's that game? Clue?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like Clue. It's like the movie Clue. Where they're all in the room. You did it. No, you did it. It couldn't have been me. So Undertaker's up there next. Taker calls her a sleazy tramp. And then that leads everybody to start fighting. And Lawler's going to remind the audience that, since nothing was solved, that means Austin's going to conduct his own investigation. So nothing was solved there. Much ado about nothing there. Like JV said, basically got Clue in action here on Monday Night Raw. Actually, it was on SmackDown. SmackDown 57. And now Austin is going to come back with another little message because these numbnuts couldn't figure it out and nobody's stepping up to say who did it. So let's take a listen to what Austin has to say.
You down to the Lone Star State, to Stone Cold Steve Austin's home in Texas.
You know, I'm not really surprised that the little yellow that run me over Survivor Series hadn't come forward and confessed. And to tell you the truth, it would almost taken all the fun out of it for Stone Cold Steve Austin. So what I'm going to do is roll in Unforgiven this Sunday and open up my own personal investigation. And that's not the only thing I'm going to open up, and I think you know what I mean. Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to open up the biggest can of whoop the World Wrestling Federation has ever seen. And in my book, every WWF superstar is a suspect, and in Austin's court of law, your ass is guilty until proven innocent.
All right, so Austin says he's going to open up his own personal investigation, and that's not the only thing that he's going to open up. You know what he means. He's going to open up a can of whoop ass on the WWF and of the likes that they've never seen before. And everybody's a suspect, and in Austin's court of law, your ass is guilty until proven innocent. And then Michael Cole jumps in, yeah, it's Stone Cold Justice, which was going to be a name of this episode, but I decided to change it. Maybe we'll use that next week. Because this is going to continue on until next week, this investigation. So Shane McMahon says he's going to help Austin investigate this because of all the inspiration Austin gave him to recover from his injuries, when Shane got smashed through the table by the Undertaker at SummerSlam. You know, he's inspired now to get back into working shape. So Shane says he's going to help him out. So Shane cuts to some footage from Survivor Series on the Ovaltron. I didn't even know they had a name for that.
Neither did I.
But hey, it's official. Shane McMahon called it the Ovaltron.
Yeah, that's family. That
Yep.
means that's a McMahon saying it.
Legit. So Shane mentions the McMahons were the first three out there after Austin got hit. Well, some people would think that covers them. My thought was, well, if you're the first people there, then why are you so close? And it's like you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know? Or even one of you could have been in the car and you just parked the car and ran out.
Yeah. Cameras didn't catch the whole thing. That's the whole problem.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. The cameraman should have been running after the car to get as much footage as possible. They didn't do that. So anyway, Shane promises that he's going to find out who hit Austin, and he's going to reveal it this Sunday at Unforgiven. So let's now skip ahead to Unforgiven on September 24th from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Austin's going to make his arrival. Kevin Kelly is waiting to interview him anxiously, and Stone Cold's going to pull up in his truck. And let's listen to this quick exchange between Austin and Kevin Kelly.
And Kevin Kelly still awaiting the arrival of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
My God, Stone Cold Steve Austin's finally arrived here at Unforgiven. He is here. The rattlesnake is here. Stone Cold Steve Austin, welcome to Unforgiven. How do you feel?
Stone Cold ain't here to answer questions. Tonight I'm asking the questions.
Stone Cold just assaulting Kevin Kelly. Michael Cole, thanks for joining us here in the King's absence, but the rattlesnake is here, emphatically here.
I cannot believe it, JR, and obviously he's not in the mood to answer any questions. I think he wants to ask the questions.
Stone Cold's court of law, remember, you're guilty until proven innocent. That's the
All right, so Kevin Kelly goes up to Austin immediately, and he asks Austin how he feels. So Stone Cold says, Stone Cold's not here to answer questions. Tonight, Stone Cold's asking the questions. So Austin then tosses Kevin Kelly right into the metal garage door, and then tosses a bunch of metal poles onto him. And JR and Michael Cole play the entire clip again right after it. It's like, that made no sense to me. We literally just watched it, and then they play that whole scene again. Seconds later. I mean, it's only like 30 seconds. They play it 2 times in a row. So they must have been like, shit, we need more time. We didn't think it was going to be that quick. Play it again. But the one notable thing other than Kevin Kelly, hard-hitting Kevin Kelly, getting his
We
ass
haven't called
kicked.
him that in a while.
Yeah. I always forget to because he's not around often. We just see him in spurts every once in a while. So there he is, hard hitting Kevin Kelly, actually getting hard hit this time. And Austin has a new shirt. So new shirt alert. I know I gave up a long time ago counting the shirts because it just became ridiculous. But here's another new shirt. It's a flaming skull, and it says 100% Hellraiser. And on the back it says, "Bye-bye, jackass." More of a notable one, I guess, because he makes his return in that one. I've seen some footage with him wearing that. So that one was familiar to me. Hellraiser. Which is what they're calling Johnny Moxley now in AEW. That's what Jim Ross has started to call him, Hellraiser. John Moxley.
I didn't even catch that.
Yep.
So you think that'll be his...
Yeah, I think that'll catch on. That'll be his nickname. The Hellraiser. So
like Stone Cold was the rattlesnake?
Right. Yeah. Something like that. All right, so just to give you kind of the gist of what's going on here, as we said that Stone Cold's going to be investigating. So you're going to have segments throughout Unforgiven where Austin's going to bump into different wrestlers. So, and I think one of the best exchanges of the night is when Stone Cold Steve Austin meets Kurt Angle for the first time. Take a listen to this inaugural meeting of two WWF legends.
And this was 96. 95, 96, yeah.
95, 96 was the Olympics.
Olympics.
The Worlds, yeah.
The Worlds. I told you that before. Well, guys, anyway, I got to go. I have a match. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank you. How you doing, Stone Cold Steve Austin? It's an honor to meet you. I'm Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of me. The Olympics, basically, they celebrate hard work and courage. Kind of like your comeback. And because of your comeback to the WWF, and for the fact that, I mean, let's face it, it's too late for you to win one of your own. I'd like to honor you with this honorary gold medal, if you don't mind. I realize it's not as big as mine, but you didn't really do anything to earn it, so I'd say it's a pretty good deal, don't you think?
Well, I want to thank you, Kurt. And I'll tell you right now that I'm going to store this in a real special place.
Thank you. I think you should, yeah.
Yeah, right up your ass.
Stone Cold of the can of whip ass of Kurt Angle.
Steve, come on.
That's what the Rattlesnake thinks of those gold medals.
Pitch my gold medal in my ass.
Come on now. Stone Cold is not in a mood tonight here, JR.
All right, so as this little segment starts off, Kurt Angle is showing his gold medals to Tony Garea and just some tall random dude that I don't recognize backstage. And then Angle's like, all right, I got to get going. So he walks off, and then he bumps into Stone Cold, and he introduces himself, puts his hand out to shake Austin's hand. Austin doesn't shake his hand. So Angle says, he's an Olympic winner. You must have heard of me. And so Angle takes out an honorary gold medal. And he puts it around Austin's neck. And then, like I said before, with his comedic timing and his delivery, it's just so perfect there. He says, I know it's smaller than mine, but you didn't really do anything to get it. So it's a pretty good deal, don't you think?
I love this. This is so good. I don't know.
Oh, it's just so pompous too. Like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'll give you a medal because you came back and you worked hard to get back. Here's a medal, and then just a second later, oh, well, you didn't really do anything.
Yeah, backhands him.
Yeah,
Whack, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Backhanded compliment. So Austin thanks him. He says, what? I'll store this in a real special place. Right up your ass. And then Austin just starts slugging away on Angle. Then it gets broken up. But it's a cool little skit. This gives us a little taste of the potential of Austin having a new rival, right from the start. First wrestler that Austin bumps into on his return is Kurt Angle, the up-and-coming star. So it's cool at that point to see, oh, shit, Austin might have a new rival right here. Kurt Angle and Austin. And it will go that way soon. and I can't wait for us to cover it. It's going to be hilarious. Fucking great matches, too. So, awesome spot there. That's possibly my oh hell yeah moment of the week.
That was going to be mine.
Oh, shit. We'll see if anything else can outbeat it, but that's what I
I
think
don't know.
I'm going
I watched it twice because it was just so funny.
Yeah.
Just to see his facial expressions, like Kurt Angle.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. So, actually, what I did think right after seeing that is I thought Angle should be the guy that hits Austin with the car. Because Angle did make his debut at Survivor Series. I mean, he was around a little bit before, but he has his first in-ring match against Sean Stasiak. And he would have been backstage. And they could have sold the story that way. That Kurt Angle knew, like, if he was going to be able to... Lose my voice here. If Kurt Angle was able to make it in the WWF at that time, he would need Austin out of the picture. So that he wouldn't have to worry about Austin. He could just worry about, like, Triple H, The Rock, Jericho.
Yeah.
So they could have went that way.
That would have been cool.
And then just picked up the feud right at this spot while Angle was hot.
That would have been much better direction writing-wise. Because it obviously doesn't work out with the whole Rikishi thing.
No. Of course not. Who the fuck would have thought that would have worked?
I know, right?
You could have started off with a... Yeah, it's so...
I need to get my family more involved here.
Well, you could have started off hot and heavy. You could have just been right out the chute, fucking Kurt Angle and Steve Austin. And it would have worked. Oh well. They'll get to it. So, Kurt Angle complains to Mick Foley that Austin attacked him. And Kurt tells Mick Foley that he had diarrhea the day of the Olympic Games. So, Mick Foley's like, "Oh yeah, you had diarrhea the day of the Olympic Games and you won the gold medal? Well, I guess you're okay enough to have a match here," basically. All right, so now Austin is continuing his tour of the backstage, and he's going to bump into The Rock next. So take a listen to this, and we'll talk about it after.
Well, there's a WWF champion.
Welcome back. You know, I still ain't found the son of a bitch who ran me over last November, but it's good to be back. Which is why I'm here. You know, I know we're cool, you and me are cool, but it was your rent-a-car. You got to be able to think back and tell me, you know, who was in the locker room snooping around and might have got your keys.
The fact of the matter is this, it could have been anybody. Everybody's in and out. They could have just gone in the Rock's bag and just taken his keys just like that. Hell, it could have been...
Hi, sorry
How are you?
Oh, I'm, Joe.
Joe who?
Just Joe. I just want to say that, I was back in the locker room and I overheard some stuff that, you might want to hear about.
Well, you know, I heard something in the locker room, too. I heard that just Joe was a sorry son of a bitch.
The right hands are just Joe! Man.
All right, so Austin enters the Rock's locker room. Just knocks and just walks in. They stare at each other. And then The Rock shakes his hand and welcomes Austin back. And Austin questions The Rock about who may have been around the locker room at Survivor Series, since whoever it is took The Rock's rental car. And The Rock says it could be anybody. People are in and out of here all the time. And just as he says that, somebody comes walking in. And Stone Cold says, "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Joe." "Joe who?" He goes, just Joe.
Joe Mama.
Joe Mama. That's what I've heard Marty would say.
Yeah, anytime I hear that, Joe, it's just like,
Joe.
oh. I almost expected it. A little disappointed when they didn't go that way.
So apparently this guy's name, and I don't remember him really at all, is his wrestling name is Just Joe. He's Just Joe. That's it. Just Joe. So he goes on to say he heard something in the locker room that Austin may want to know. So Austin says, I heard something too. Just Joe's a sorry son of a bitch. And then he starts to beat the shit out of Just Joe. So Just Joe is the guy that wrestles in Canada came up with Edge and Christian. So he knew those guys, so that's why he got a shot here in the WWF at this time. And didn't last, obviously. Because what a hell of a gimmick they gave him. Just Joe. The fuck? All right, so... But I do like the touch, though, in that little clip, though, where The Rock says, anybody could be in and out of here, and Austin questions him about the rental car, because it is The Rock's rental car, so it's good they brought that up again. So it could very likely be somebody that's friends with The Rock, or knows The Rock.
Yep. And I'm glad they readdressed that.
Right.
That it was his rental car.
Because they haven't said it since April.
And he's just like, oh, anyone could have just come into my locker room and took the keys. Like, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Of all the shit you own, they're going to take your rental car keys.
Yeah, so, well, it's good. It's just, kind of holes in it, I guess. But they're still trying to just figure out what the fuck they're going to do. They don't even know yet.
Yeah. Like I said, what makes it worse is that we already know
where
this ends up, so.
Right. All right, so now Stone Cold's going to go busting into Stephanie's dressing room. He always likes to just bust into the girls' dressing rooms. He doesn't give any regard to whether or not they're ready or not. He just goes in. So it's like he did with Sable a couple of years back. All right, so let's take a listen to what Stone Cold has to say to Stephanie.
Come in. Oh, Stone Cold.
Yeah. One question. Where the hell's your husband at?
Oh, well, Hunter went to go talk to Commissioner Foley, but, let me just tell you, it's really great to see you. I mean, you look fantastic. And actually, I've got something for you. I've been holding on to it for a long time. Hang on one second, okay? Just 1 sec.
Yeah, make it snappy.
I'm just excited. This is the hat that you were wearing the night you were run down on Survivor Series. I was praying for you the entire time. I was scared to death, and I held on to this, hoping that one day you would come back. And so here.
Oh. Man, thanks a lot, Steph. I ain't found a sumbitch to ram you over, but I got my head back, didn't I? I guess that means I can just go home now, doesn't it?
Well, Steve, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Shane knows who ran you over. I mean, I don't know why you're wasting all your time, trying to do this investigation. You've seen the video footage. It clearly could not have been me, Hunter, my father, or my mother wasn't even around. And Shane has actual videotape proof of who did it. I mean, you should really just go ask Shane.
Well, there's 3 things you can be certain of. Death, taxes, and you don't trust anybody around this place.
So when Austin busts into Stephanie's dressing room, he's looking for Triple H, and Stephanie says he's talking to Mick Foley right now, and she tells Austin that he looks fantastic. Which he does. We talked about that. So Stephanie's saying, you look good. And that she has something for him. So Stephanie has a hat. She has the hat from the night that Austin was hit by the car. Camo hat. Same hat that he has on, actually. Just the one from the night. So Austin acts all excited and he says, I ain't found the son of a bitch who ran me over, but I got my hat back. I guess that means I can go home now. So then Steph tells Austin that, Shane knows.
Very sarcastically.
Right. Obviously, yeah, sarcastic. So Steph tells Austin that Shane knows who ran him over, and Shane's going to reveal it later in the show. And Austin says there are 3 things you can count on. Death, taxes, and you can't trust anybody around this place. So then that brings us now to the investigative results by Shane McMahon. So let's take a listen to what Shane McMahon has to say and what he thinks happened at Survivor Series 99.
I can't answer for Stone Cold. Only Stone Cold can do that. But I am anxious to see this video proof that Shane McMahon says he has that will conclusively prove who the culprit was.
Well, if he says he has it, he has it.
I was hoping that it wasn't going to come down to this. I was hoping that when Stone Cold Steve Austin arrived here at Unforgiven, that Austin would come back to the private confines of my locker room to find out just who committed the vehicular assault to the Rattlesnake himself last November at the Survivor Series.
All right, that's what should have happened.
I was hoping not to be out here in front of all of you, in front of a worldwide television audience, because I now have to publicly, yes, I said publicly, call out the culprit.
Oh, boy, here we go, JR. Call him out. Yes, it's going to be good. Who is it? He knows. Well, who is it? I don't know. Only Shane knows, but I can't wait. Come on, Shane. Maybe that guy knows, too. I don't know.
My impartial, objective investigation has led me to the perpetrator. A perpetrator that you may not suspect.
Uh-oh.
It'd be easy to expect. However, this perpetrator does have a history of vehicular assault.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to attract your attention up to the Titantrons and allow me to show you this unbiased yet crucial evidence of exactly what I'm talking about. Roll the footage. Incriminating evidence.
What? Oh, look at that.
Yes, there it is. About 1 year ago, Ken Shamrock was struck down, vehicular assault by that man right there. Yes, that man right there, Steve Blackman. Let me see that one more time. Let me see that one more time.
Show it.
Blackman. That's it. Watch this. Now you want to know why? Check out. Obviously, this man is capable of anything. Steve Blackman right there smashed Ken Shamrock down with no remorse. He had no regard for Ken Shamrock. Blackman is cold, callous, and cold-hearted. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Blackman, without a shadow of a doubt, is the one who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, there you have it, JR. That's video proof.
And that's the bottom line, because Shane O'Mac said so.
I don't know if that's better than footprints or hair fibers or even DNA. That's seeing is believing. Blackman may have run over Shamrock, but that doesn't really prove that. Here comes the culprit now. I mean, this guy's got a history of running over people, JR.
Yeah, he's got a history, too.
That proves it right there.
Throwing Shane McMahon off the Titantron. Remember SummerSlam?
See, that is further proof. He has no regard whatsoever for anybody else's safety.
And Shane McMahon,
watch it, Shane,
distancing himself from Steve Blackman.
Look out, he's dangerous. Good thing Blackman.
All right, so Shane says he has the video proof of who attacked Stone Cold, and Shane is not happy that Austin didn't come right to him right away and ask him about who attacked him, because Shane believes that he has the results. So Shane says he's now publicly going to call out the culprit. Shane says that this person has a history of vehicular assaults. Shane directs the attention to the Titantron to check out the footage. The footage shows that Steve Blackman attacked Ken Shamrock with this car, and you can hear just the moan from the crowd. That Shane is saying that Steve Blackman is involved in this angle. No one gives a fuck about Steve Blackman. And that's what they went with. So Steve Blackman heads down to the ring, and then Austin heads out to the ring. So that kind of sucked. Shane was
big time. This is like fucking Blackman, really?
Right. Come on. Based on one feud that he had with Ken Shamrock so long ago. Oh, he hit him with the car. It had to be him. That proved nothing. So Austin heads down to the ring. He has new entrance music. He has nice rock music. It's is it Disturbed or is it System of a Down?
I think it's Disturbed.
Yeah, it's one of those bands from 2000.
Because I've been listening to System of a Down a lot lately at the gym. And it doesn't sound like that lead singer.
Oh, okay.
Saj, whatever his name is, Tarkanian or something. Sounds like the Disturbed guy.
Yeah, it might be Disturbed. But anyway, we're gonna play it at the end of the show, and you can make your judgment, or you can just look it up, like we could do. We could just look it up, but yeah, we'll get back to it next week. So anyway, Shane's gonna jump out of the ring. Blackman stays in the ring. He's all pissed off. JR's on commentary. The Rattlesnake is back in the WWF, and business had damn sure picked up.
And it's disturbed. I just double checked.
Oh, you
Sorry.
So it is
It was bothering me.
All right, so it is disturbed. Cool. It was disturbing, JV. So you have Austin now in the ring with Steve Blackman. Austin stares down Blackman, and Shane starts pointing fingers at Blackman. He's egging Austin on. Then Austin kicks Blackman in the gut and stuns him. Shane rolls Blackman out of the ring. So this is funny. You have Shane McMahon being like the little bully. It's kind of like in the old cartoons. You have the big brute character, but then you have like the little weasel friend that's like instigating everything. That's what Shane McMahon is here. Like, yeah, come on, mess with me now, huh? So that's what's going on, and then Austin stuns Blackman, and Shane's all like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Like he thinks he's all in with Austin, so he goes to get Austin's beer cooler. Austin looks at him like, what the fuck you doing? But takes the beers anyway. He's like, all right, fuck it, I'll drink the beers. Yeah, Austin probably at this point is like, oh yeah, I haven't probably had a beer in like 3 months. I'm sucking these down. So Shane goes from corner to corner drinking the beers like a big dickhead. He reminded me of how I hate when Earl Hebner does that. Drinking the beers and running from corner to corner.
Does that.
And that's exactly what Shane's doing here. Austin.
Yeah, but he's not as like lame.
No, he's not lame, but it's just coming out. No, I think it's funny, but that's what he's doing. He's doing like the annoying guy drinking the beer. Copying Austin, trying to be like Austin. So anyway, Austin's going to stun Shane. The beer's going to spew all out of his mouth. And Austin gets in Shane's face, does the whole little fuck you, blah, blah, blah shit. So Austin knows that Shane was just trying to get revenge on Blackman because Blackman knocked him off the Titantron. So that's partly why this is all going down. So Austin doesn't buy into that shit. And then he gets another stunner. And we get a nice return for Austin. And we're going to be, like they say, off to the races with Austin. At this point, he's going to be around for a full year. He's going to be around for the rest of 2000 and all of 2001. And then into the beginning of 2002. And then he's going to have his little issue with Brock Lesnar. And he's going to take his ball and go home. So he's going to be around for quite a while at this point to give us good steady amount of episodes where he's going to be involved. So we're back into our nice little stretch here. We had our little kind of hiatus period over the past month or so, basically, and we'll be back into it totally starting next week with episode 64, where Stone Cold's going to continue his investigation and lead to the reveal that we all know is coming. Is Rikishi, but we'll see how it all goes down next week on the
because I
bottom line.
forget the lead up. I forgot about this.
Yeah, I don't remember
finger
either.
pointing, and even though I don't like the end result, it still makes really good TV.
Right, it's still all interesting. It'll be fun to cover and just see where they were going and see what maybe they were gonna do, but then change their mind and all those little things that we like to kind of dissect as we watch what we know is about to happen.
It's like a M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Right.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
The movie's good and then the ending's just kind of whack.
Right. But then when you go back and watch it, you can try to figure out some things.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here. So anyway, we'll be back next week, and let's kind of wrap things up here with the bottom line wrap up. So no house shows, of course, at this point, and I can't foresee it happening for a while for Austin. He's just going to be doing Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-views for sure.
But they're going to limit his in-ring work.
Yeah. Let's get into our oh hell yeah moment of the week.
Oh hell yeah!
And I think it's pretty obvious what we have. We both agree. Stone Cold Steve Austin meeting Kurt Angle for the first time at Unforgiven. What do you think? Sticking with that?
Yeah,
Something else?
I'm gonna have to stick with that one because like I said, I watched it more than once, and I usually don't do that, but that was just too good not to. The metal just had me dying. The mini metal. Once you notice it like immediately,
right?
I don't know.
It's so rinky dink.
It's like they might think it's like you can unwrap it and it's like a piece of
chocolate.
chocolate.
Yeah. All right. What about your oh hell no moment of the week?
Oh hell no!
That's a tough one. I don't really have one, to be completely honest.
I thought you had one earlier. You wanted to change it?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you got? I have to jog my memory here.
Well, there's nothing Austin related that's oh hell no for me. So I'm gonna go with the debut of the Right to Censor and how the Godfather became the Good Father, and then how Val Venus just kind of became a nothing. Even though he's the IC champion, he's just become so lame and boring.
Yep.
And then that ultimately leads to him joining the Right to Censor too. So that's all kind of oh hell no, especially because how much I loved Val Venus. Just to see him fall off like
you were
that.
definitely big on him.
Yep. So that's oh hell no for me.
I think my oh hell no would just be the overall fact that, I mean, leading up to this pay-per-view, Unforgiven, they kind of set it up that they're going to reveal who it is that was behind the attack.
That's true.
Didn't you get that feeling?
Yeah. You thought you were going to get a definitive answer.
They don't. So and then they kind of like, they drag it out, and the debut ends up being on like a Raw or a SmackDown. It's not even like a pay-per-view, right? They use it for television.
Right.
So it's like they sell this whole pay-per-view as if you're going to get the reveal. So you buy it, and then you're almost disappointed, and they give it away for free on TV.
Right. They try to turn and actually that's an all hell no too. Shit. But so actually, yeah, you can add this to your oh hell no, is that they reveal Steve Blackman.
Yeah, that too.
So yeah, that's a
great point. That's who they.
Oh hell no.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it's more of an elaborate hell no. I can't think of anything specifically, but just the whole run of shows leading up to some SmackDown 55, to SmackDown 57, the Raws in between, and
the only
Unforgiven. As a fan, I'd be pissed.
The only
because
good
it's definitely implied that you're going to know who it is.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of a letdown. But the only, I guess, the silver lining that is keeping you from thinking that maybe is knowing that Austin's back.
True.
So you might not care as much. All right, Austin's back. That made me forget about everything else.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't care back then. Once Austin came back, just like, great, he's back on TV.
Right. So yeah, that's a good oh hell no there. All right, so next week, like I said, Bottom Line Wrestling Cast will be episode 64. We'll be covering September into October as this investigation continues. Stone Cold is on the case. So that'll be next week. Also, let's give some plugs to our podcast pals. You heard Talking Taker during a break, but what they're covering this week, I believe, is Royal Rumble 2008. They just covered Armageddon 2007 from December of 2007. So the next month is the Royal Rumble, January of 2008, and The Undertaker was in that Rumble. So I believe they'll be covering that, possibly watch-along style. Also, and again, that's Talking Taker. Check them out at Talking Taker on Twitter. Also, check out Book in the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast with Mike Mills, Hardbody Harper, and Doc Turner, where on Thursdays they cover NWA World Championship Wrestling Saturday nights from October 29th, 1988 this week. That's every Thursday. And then on Sunday, they drop a second episode, which is the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Recap. And this week will be August 5th, 1995, which is episode 184 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling TV. And again, those episodes drop on Sunday. So Thursdays and Sundays, we're booking the territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. Also, check out our Vantage Point. This week is episode 166 on their Influencers influencer segment, they are covering ECW. So they're going through how ECW has influenced wrestling up to this point today. And also they're on week 3 of the worst managers. And then they also do a review of a short-lived show called NWA AWA Pro Wrestling USA from October 20th, 1984. Also, be sure to check out our friend Jay Free on Free Your Geek for all things pop culture and entertainment in the world. And Jay Free just recently dropped an episode this past week, so be sure to check his shows out. He has a great archive, a lot of good information on there, so check out Free Your Geek. And then once again, JV and I have the Extreme ECW Livecast available on the Book in the Territory Patreon $5 tier. Book in the Territory, patreon.com/Book in the Territory is where you can go to sign up for that. But also keep in mind that this week's episode will be available today, tomorrow. It'll be there soon. But check it out this week, the Extreme ECW Livecast. It's our 19th episode, covering episode 40 and 41, January 18th and January 25th, 1994. So, have a good time doing that episode. So, check that episode out this week. And then go up and sign up at Book in the Territory Patreon to get all the previous episodes. Because they won't be free all the time. So, this is just a once in a while thing here. So, check that out. And just want to thank you guys for listening as always. And if you can, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, and give us a little write-up, please. If you're enjoying the show, tell us what you like about it. And basically, that's a good way of telling everybody else about it, too, because that will come up when people just come across our show. The reviews help people, say play on that sucker. So do us that favor. If you enjoy the show, we don't ask for money. Just help us out with some spreading the word. You can do that on Twitter, at BottomLineCast also. With that said, JV, you got anything else to say?
I got nothing else to say, but actually I do.
Okay.
I'm really pumped that Austin's been back, because the last couple of episodes we've covered without him outside of the watch along are kind of cool, but I miss covering him like in action. You know what I mean?
Right.
Watching his matches and shit.
Right. I miss exactly, like a full angle going on with him, matches going on with him.
Yeah. So we're doing our homework here, but we're not really like. Right. I don't know. I didn't really get to see him wrestle or anything.
Right. We're not getting any action out of it. I mean, we're telling the story.
Right.
We on the episode 2 weeks ago, which was episode 62. We seen him come back briefly. And he helped out The Rock win the title, so that's part of the story. And then he's gone again because of the injury, and now he's back, and you see he has a good relationship with The Rock now too at this point. So that's continued on, and now we're gonna find out what happened. So yeah, it has been kind of a little low the past 3 weeks, but as we said, it's gonna pick up again starting next week because he's gonna start to have matches right away. So he's back, baby.
Yes.
All right, so for that, we're out of here. We'll be back next week. And again, check out the Extreme ECW Livecast, free this week. And we'll be back next week with our big episode 64 covering Stone Cold Steve Austin. So long.
And that's all I have to say about that.
The next one, and I'm gonna kill you. Don't believe it, but I'm betting that you will. Stop, no, I'll let you live a little bit with the pain that I bring. You know it's only the beginning. Stop, I'll let you the next one, and I'm gonna kill you. Don't believe it, but I'm betting that only the beginning. Step up, cause you're the next one, and I'm about to kill. You don't believe it, but I'm betting that you will. Step up, I'll let you live a little bit with the pain that I bring. You know it's only the beginning.